All right. We're good to go. I think actually, for those of you watching this right now, you're going to see a little bit of an end of a little rehearsal we just did. And then we're live now, which is really cool. So welcome, everybody. We are here at Pitch Your Pod, and we're excited to be streaming to you today from all over the world, in fact, with people from all over the world. And actually, people from all over the world contributed to this event, which was really, really amazing. So for everybody here who did participate in this, congratulations to you. Thank you so much. And we're all so excited to reveal the winners today. But honestly, and I think we could all agree, anybody who participated in this was a winner, right? I mean, it actually took a lot of courage to put yourself out there and put yourself in a situation like this. So, Jonathan, I'd like to highlight you real quick because you really were the mastermind behind this. Tell us about like the origin of this whole Pitch Your Pod thing and kind of what your experience has been like putting this together. And if you're in the chat right now also watching, tell us where in the world you're watching in from, and then we'll get into results and stuff. But Jonathan, tell us your story.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, the story of where this idea came from. So over last fall, the team all got together for a much needed connection to bring us all back together, and kind of safely reconnect in person. And on our way back from Rocky Mountain National Park and the low altitude times, we came up with this idea of, we've all had this conversation of, what would make a really great podcast, and then we talk about the host and the guests, and what the episodes would be structured like, and we've all had that at some point with our friends and our family, but more often than not, that conversation stops or moves on to something else, and no one really, rarely do they take action on those podcasts. I personally have, thought of a dozen of them, and the conversation moves on there. But we wanted to think of how could we make that a reality? How can we take that idea and that concept that we've all had those conversations and turn that into a reality, or give someone the opportunity to turn that into a reality? Yeah. And that's where the Pitch Your Pod concept grew from there. And kind of going through each of the steps and the phases of from getting the contest up and running, the webpage there, having contestants submit pitches has just been a truly amazing and wonderful experience.
It really has. And listening to all of your podcasts, it's just, always get so blown away at the kind of people that we seem to attract here at SPI. Just kind-hearted people who want to serve others, who each have their own unique story. And that's so important because podcasting is a perfect platform for story. And known, you have a podcast as well, and you've listened to a number of these podcasts. What was your first impression after hearing everybody's stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a reminder for me that podcasting as a medium is such a beautiful space for coming into space as your authentic self, right? There's so many, like across the board, just hearing them all, like so many different wonderful ideas and perspectives. And yeah, just hearing it all was pretty inspiring to me. And I've been podcasting for 7 or 8 years at this point, and was re-inspired by listening to all of these wonderful different podcasts. So yeah, it was great.
For sure. As was I, and I've been podcasting for 13 years, and I oftentimes forget what it was like when I first started, but I'm being reminded at how much courage it actually took. And because I've been, far removed from that time, but so many people stepped out of their comfort zones here to offer a little piece of themselves. And our role at Team SPI was just to make this as easy and as simple and as quick for you as possible, right? Which is why we didn't have to have you worry about, hosting your audio or even cared what your microphones sound like or anything like that. And, we've had a lot of help along the way, not just from within the team, but even outside of the team. We got to give a big shout out to sort of our title sponsor, Buzzsprout, who is a podcasting host that we love and we've partnered with. They enabled us to have an account that allowed us to put all of your shows on. And that is like, that account doesn't exist that anybody can get anywhere. And we're just really grateful for them because they wanted to support you too. So this is a lot of fun. Wendy said, I enjoyed doing the podcast more than doing YouTube videos. Yeah, that's actually a big pitch for podcasting in general. You don't got to put on any fancy clothes or nothing before you record your podcast. And I always joke that you never know if I'm podcasting with pants on or not. I am, and I do have pants on right now. I think it's the right thing to do, but maybe not. You don't know. Well, it's video right now, so I do have pants. Anyway, let me go share some slides so we can move into some analytics and some stuff with relation to this contest. And then we're going to get into some of the winners. And we have some fun surprises to share with you. And also, we will be actually listening to the pitches of the winners, which will be a lot of fun because these are 5 minutes or less. Then we're going to talk about them a little bit. But again, everybody here is indeed a winner. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's go to the page that I wanted to. And we're going to go to, give me 1 second. There we go. All right. Actually, let me just make sure sound is on. Let me try that one more time because we will be sharing some sound. All right. Sound is on. We're good to go. Let me go into Keynote here and let's hit play. So here are the summary and the results presented by SPI. And again, we want to thank you again so much for participating. And even if you didn't participate, voting and just knowing that this was happening and supporting others who were doing it was very, very important. But we also want to thank all of our friends and partners who have contributed to this, because again, it just wasn't us alone. Buzzsprout contributed in a number of ways. There's also something for those of you who participated that Buzzsprout is offering you to if you want to go and move forward with your podcast, which we hope you do. And we're going to give you some tools and things to help you along with that. But big shout out to Buzzsprout, just such an amazing company. Heil Sound threw in a microphone package for the grand prize winner, which I thought was beautiful. I'm using a microphone right now from Heil that I've used for over 10 years, and it's awesome. There's a lot of great microphone companies, but they were like, hey, we want to give you the top stuff and a boom arm and a shock mount for your winner, whoever it might be. So look forward to that. Podcast Hawk, which is the company that helps connect you with other podcasts so that you can be a guest on their show. We're good friends, and I'm an advisor for that company as well. So if you're interested in getting to be a guest on another person's podcast, check out Podcast Hawk. They automate a lot of that process, but not in a way where it's like spamming people with emails, but in a true, genuine way. And then Fusebox, one of my own companies that I started, it was once known as the Smart Podcast Player. We're throwing in some goodies for everybody involved in too. But most of all, we want to thank you for participating. There was a number of people who submitted. And honestly, Jonathan, I mean, did you have any idea or even a goal in mind in terms of how many people we wanted to participate in this? I mean, we had literally no idea what was going to happen, right?
No, none. It was actually quite interesting. So when we opened up the entry submission phase, it was really exciting when, I think I messaged you and I was like, man, we have like 40 entries. This is great. And then I checked a day later and it was 100. And then I checked back, a few days later and it was over 300. And my mind could not grasp the amount of like brand new ideas for podcasts that were just sitting and waiting in your brains out there. Mm-hmm. So very appreciative and thankful and grateful for the time and effort that you all took to submit your pitches.
I was like, putting yourself out there like that's not easy. And people seem to gravitate toward the mission that we had and the idea of putting themselves out there in an authentic way. And it worked because our goal is just to make it as simple as possible for you. And that is always our mission. And here it is working in real time, which is awesome. And not only were 350 podcasts submitted, lots of comfort zones were left behind, like lots. And I knew this because we were seeing tweets, right? Here is Conrun Smalls, who said, so I recently decided to leave my comfort zone and completely and enter new podcast competition by Pat Flynn, collecting for you with Conra Smalls. So congratulations, Conra Smalls, for getting out of your comfort zone and for everybody, right? Jackie said, so I did a thing. I pitched my podcast for a contest. Here is Finley, who said, last night, I finally sat down and recorded an overview of my vision for my podcast. Look what we built, then submitted it to Pat Flynn for Pitch Your Pod. Felt good to make even a little bit of progress. This is like the kind of feedback that makes me so happy. Like, you've been waiting so long. Let me know in the chat if you're one of those people who knew you wanted to get this going and you just were waiting for some excuse to do it and you finally got it done. Let us know in the chat if that's you, because again, that was the purpose here. Nathan here says, just submitted my new podcast and we'll see how this goes. Filmtopia, somebody who was very active on Twitter, who I've gotten connected with just through the Twitter sphere, was so gracious with his kind words about how much this has helped him and how much he's putting himself out there. And that's awesome. And April is a good friend of mine through the Income Stream, which was a live stream I did for a year. And she's fantastic. She's really, really big in the Clubhouse scene. And she said, shout out to Pat Flynn for offering this amazing opportunity that allowed us to pitch your pod. My pitch was in light of me being a Clubhouse super fan. Love that. And I believe that April is hosting a Clubhouse chat right after this call. So if you want to go on Clubhouse and find April Roga, you might be able to chat with her there, which is going to be really cool. So a lot of people raising their hand, guys. This is absolutely fantastic. And just to step out of your comfort zone means so much, because that's not easy for sure. But as you know, That's where all the best growth happens, right? We are very, very proud of what you started, and you should be proud too. Like, you should absolutely be proud too. And if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I didn't get it in time, or now I'm inspired, but I missed the contest. You don't need a contest to do this like that, right? Like, you could start at any time, and hopefully this gives you the kick in the pants you need. Actually, I don't know about you guys, but I got a couple messages from people saying, hey, I missed the deadline, but I'm going to do it anyway. Right? Like, that is really, really, really cool. So here's some other fun facts. How many downloads were there total, right? We put all of these audio files into one podcast feed, again, thanks to Buzzsprout. Any guesses on how many downloads? Pop your number in the chat. Remember, this is just live for like 7 days. Typically, podcasts, when they launch, don't get over a couple thousand downloads in the first month. I mean, even a couple thousand downloads in the first month is fantastic. Even a few hundred, in fact. Those are real life people. Well, we had over 16,500 downloads in the last 7 days. That is crazy. That is insane. That is real people outside of the people who are here, outside of the submission pool, who sat there to listen to your pitches. And it's been amazing. I mean, every podcast had, several dozen, if not over hundreds of downloads, right? Every podcast, I believe, had votes. And that's incredible. Now, how many votes were there? A ton. People participated, over 2,500 votes. And there's only one per person that's allowed. That is absolutely, absolutely incredible. So let's talk about how we selected the winners. We knew this was going to be interesting, and we could have just left it up to the votes and the votes alone. But we know that should have played a role, but not completely. There's a lot of people who could potentially game that, right? There's a lot of people who could potentially, if they already have a larger audience, right? That necessarily wouldn't be fair to somebody who's using a podcast to build their audience. So we took a lot of that into mind. The votings did actually matter, but Team SPI ultimately made the final decision based on a number of the things that you perhaps saw on the contest page with relation to the pitch itself and the opportunity there. And I want to preface all of this, and perhaps the guys here can also add some color here too. Whenever there's like a prize or whenever there's like a winner, right? It immediately means that, well, there are then on the opposite side of that, people who didn't win, right? And you might consider yourself like not good enough or a loser. No, and I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that, because this isn't about like the winner. You're all winners, but it can be perceived that way because there's a prize and we're going to announce some names and stuff, right? So any thoughts or feelings of how we can still benefit from this even if we didn't win?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it earlier, Pat. Like, you were all so courageous for just putting your voice out there. Sometimes we just need a container to do that. We need like a little, Pat said, kick in the pants. We need a little shove through the door, whatever it may be. I mean, putting aside even the nomenclature of winners, losers, like, I think it's beautifully courageous to like put your idea out there. You have a start. You have this first episode, or you have a trailer, whatever it may be. You have an idea. Grow that. Like, that's a huge step in this podcasting journey for you. So should all be very, very proud of yourselves.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Movie Pie here says this was a blessing no matter what. And I just want to make sure we all understand it. I think we do, but again, when there's a contest and winners and prizes and voting, and again, we made the final decision. We came together actually for the last, how many days, Jonathan? We were talking for quite a while and a lot about like, I mean, we were shifting names around, and it actually gave me a little anxiety, picking a winner.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, kind of piggybacking off of Noan's thing there is, Noan's comment rather, is the idea of, self-doubt can definitely come into play, like, oh, I didn't win Pitcher Pod. Is it really, should I even do this? Mm-hmm. Going back to those download numbers and those vote numbers, over 16,000 people have listened to your pitch already. Like, people have listened to what you had to say. So that's just even further proof and encouragement to continue down the path of podcasting, whether that's, continuing to evolve the topic of your show, what the structure looks like, who you have as guests, kind of really refine that and make it even better, but still continue down that journey, so to not give up.
I mean, I'd recommend taking this audio file that you have and manually sharing it with other people, right? I mean, maybe you can get some more comments and feedback about it. You're likely going to get a ton of people supporting you. Your audience can validate that for you as well. And then you can shift it and turn it into something that then becomes an actual show with now the ability to have people find you who you don't even know exist in the world. That's the beauty of the podcast. And with the evergreen nature of the content and with the connection that's available through the audio format, it's just unbelievable. So well done again to everybody who put in their name here. But we're going to get to the winners right now. Now, we'd also decided as a team, we were like, okay, there's a lot more submissions than maybe we thought, and there's only 3 prizes. Can we add a couple more prizes just to kind of make people feel a little bit better? Because like I again was getting a little anxiety, and we were like flip-flopping between a couple top ones, and we were like, oh, I can't imagine leaving. Anyway, there are 5 total prizes. So we said there were 3. There's 5 now. There's the grand prize winner, which we'll save to the end here. But instead of essentially second and third place, we're just gonna have 4 runners up, and each of the 4 runners up will be winning a microphone that will be sending your way, or if that's unable to be sent to you, we're going to give you a cash value of that prize. And then also you get complimentary access to our most popular online course, Power Up Podcasting. That is a $799 course that we're offering to you as a runner up. And so this way you can have the knowledge and the experience and the steps you need, literally step by step, walking you through that process to launch your course. So let's award our first runner-up prize to, this was actually my top pick, this person, actually, to Heather C., the Sourdough Mamas podcast. Woo, congratulations. Let's listen in. We're going to listen into some of these pitches and hear them through.
Hi, Sourdough Mamas. I am so happy that you're here. If you don't already know me, I'm Heather, the founder of Leavenly.com and the Sourdough Mamas group on Facebook. I'm incredibly excited to tell you that I'll be launching a new podcast called the Sourdough Mamas Podcast, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about me and a lot about my podcast plans. I'm originally from Canada, and now I live in Colorado with my husband, 3 kids, and our chocolate lab. Our kiddos are all under the age of 5, so life is pretty crazy around here. Leavenly was born when I discovered that even as a busy mom, I could make incredibly delicious sourdough bread in my home. At the time, I had 2 kids under 2, and I had really struggled with the time management aspect of the craft. So when I finally figured it out, I felt like I struck gold. What happened was I basically stumbled upon a few secrets that actually make sourdough baking simple instead of intimidating and daunting. And I wanted to share this with the world. I literally wanted to yell it from the rooftops. If you've ever baked sourdough, you can completely understand. So Leavenly quickly started helping thousands of home bakers from all types of backgrounds. I quickly saw the power of community, and I launched the Sourdough Mamas group to continue the Leavenly message of hope, inspiration, and empowerment. People helping people overcome baking challenges. The Sourdough Mamas group has been absolutely incredible. These home bakers are so supportive and kind to each other, opening up and telling their stories. One woman shared that sourdough saved her during the pandemic. She and her husband were in a really tough place, dealing with layoffs, lockdowns, fear, and uncertainty. And then she discovered sourdough. She joined our community, and she was able to channel her anxieties into the therapeutic medium of bread dough. And it was a welcome distraction for her, and she was able to create something beautiful and delicious. So these are the stories that stick with me and that I really want to share on the podcast. Yes, this is only sourdough, but it's the underlying symbol of hope that I hear time and time again that I'd love to share. Sourdough Mamas, the podcast, is the next chapter for Leavenly, where we talk about your kitchen, your ingredients, and your life. We'll talk to everyone from members of our community on their struggles and successes with sourdough, to some of the industry experts and sourdough fluencers. Yes, I completely just made that word up, but it's so pretty catchy, so I think I'm going to keep using it. The Sourdough Mamas podcast will also cover topics important to home bakers, like scheduling your time, baking without the right tools, because sometimes we start out and we don't have all this expensive equipment, learning about hydration, and so much more. I'll be showing you steps to take and hacks to use to accelerate your sourdough journey and get the results that you deserve. Consider each Sourdough Mamas podcast episode your little motivational pep talk. where we will not only share secrets to baking better bread, but give you the confidence that you're in control and you absolutely can achieve your sourdough baking goals. I'll be here with my many guests to help guide you on this journey and help you achieve the success you're looking for, of course, while having a little bit of fun along the way. If you love this idea, please give me a vote. I've been sitting on this idea for a few months now, and I would love your encouragement. That's the entire premise of the Sourdough Mamas community, offering love and support to all who enter. I hope you're having a wonderful day and that it only gets better from here. Happy baking, mamas.
How could you not be inspired after hearing that, right? Jonathan, what are your first impressions?
Yeah, so my first impression listening to Heather's pitch, even the first time that I listened to it, but also again, is just like what you always say, like the riches are in the niches, but kind of at the same time, it's not so niche that it's not applicable and relatable to someone outside of that. You know, how you talk about baking inside the kitchen and baking specifically sourdough, but also talking about like life lessons and kind of things to take with you outside of that. It's very relatable in and outside of that niche. So that's definitely what stuck with me, listening to it over and over.
Same. How about you, Noam?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what is beautiful about Heather's pitch, and I think what is beautiful, a lot of the pitches, is we can take this container of like baking of sourdough and it being this reflection of our humanity, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what Heather is doing, is creating this space for people who love to bake or do sourdough baking and whatnot, but have this thing be this reflection of who we are. I think it's lovely.
Yeah, I mean, you guys both said it well, really great. I also love how in the middle of her pitch, this is always great to do in a pitch, by the way, so you're going to learn a little marketing as we go along, to tell a story about a single person, right? It can be very easy to go, here's what you're going to learn, and here is the kind of things that we will do, or here are the kinds of things that I work on for people. But when you take a specific story and you give them a name and then you share their transformation, that can't do anything but want to have other people get connected with a person like them, or they see a vision of themselves in that, right? Oh, I like, that's the journey I want to go on, and this is now the leader or the guide who I should follow. So I love that. I also love, and we'll go quickly here, but her use of the word you and your, very, very key when it comes to podcasting, right? It's very easy to see, to share words like, hey, everybody, or all you guys, or, for everybody out there, when you use words like your, or you, or even we, like, hey, you and me, we're doing this together in audio format. I mean, think about when people are listening to podcasts. Are they usually around a group of people? No, they're usually by themselves. So it is a one-on-one conversation. And again, the beauty of podcasting is, as a creator, it's a one-to-many, but to the listener, it's a one-to-one, and it feels so intimate. So really, really well done. And I love her wrap up and the connection to the bigger world. It's not just about sourdough. And then coming up with your own terms like sourdough fluencers or whatever she said, sourdough, we'll have to work on that, or I have to listen to more of her show to get it ingrained. But anyway, well done, Heather. And big shout out to the chat right now for all the support for Heather, and congratulations. Moving on, next, we have our next runner-up winner, Charisse A. with Sci-Fi Femme. Let's go.
Welcome to Sci-Fi Femme, a show devoted to highlighting and celebrating incredible female role models from science fiction. I'm your host, Charisse Alexander, and I am so excited that you're here. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I didn't have a lot of female role models growing up. Now, to be fair, I've always loved math and science, and I knew from the age of 10 that I wanted to become a microbiologist when I grew up. So I was an unusual kid, to say the least. But my parents were always super supportive of me getting an education and following my dreams, which is why I was the first one in my family to go to college and later to grad school to get degrees in, you guessed it, microbiology. But as a kid, there weren't a lot of women in my immediate world that I could model when it came to successfully navigating the new academic challenges, but also just living in the technology age. Thankfully, my parents introduced me to the world of science fiction very early on. And this genre was just so powerful for my young mind because it showed me a world of epic possibilities, just waiting for people to create them. So that's when I was introduced to women like Sarah Connor of Terminator, who taught me to be brave and take action even when things were super scary. Or Dana Scully of X-Files, who taught me that no matter how weird a situation gets, as long as I keep my cool and use my logic and quick thinking, I can find a solution. Or Captain Janeway of Star Trek Voyager, who showed me that a woman can lead in a way that inspires loyalty, courage, and love from those under her command. And so many more women that I am just super pumped to talk about. Now, each week, this show is going to highlight a different female character from the science fiction genre who I think makes a dynamic and powerful role model for women of all ages. Not only that, but I'm also going to be interviewing authors, actors, and other members of the sci-fi community who've helped to create these amazing characters. People like Suzanne Collins, author of The Hunger Games, or like Gates McFadden, an actress who's best known for playing Dr. Beverly Crusher on Star Trek: The Next Generation, or Hugo Award-winning author N.K. Jemisin, who often writes mind-bending stories with African-American female protagonists. These are just a few of the iconic guests that I am so excited to interview. So if you are looking for inspiration, empowerment, or just another reason to smile today, this is the podcast for you. That's it for now, and I will see you on the next episode. Talk soon. Bye.
Let's go. That was great. The idea of it like really struck me, right? I love this. And I can imagine Charisse, who is in the chat right now, by the way, congratulations to you. And she was like freaking out with all caps earlier. It was so great. Like you getting access to actresses and these really well-known people. I mean, there's a mission here behind what this is. And I absolutely love that. I love how you told your story. And this was true with Heather as well. Is it weird how you can hear a person smile? Like you can literally hear a person smile. And that came through with Heather, with her baking, and then Sci-Fi Femme here. So really, really happy for you, Charisse. Congratulations. And all the winners obviously will be reached out to. Jonathan will reach out and we'll get connected to figure things out. But amazing. Any comments on this one, Jonathan?
Yeah, absolutely. I listening to Charisse's podcast, I actually came back to it multiple times just because I just like what you said, like I wanted to kind of relive that smile that I heard through the podcast. The theme and the idea, like that kind of through line of inspiration and positive role models for women is not only so powerful, but also much needed. So, you know, content aside, like just the podcast pitch was phenomenal, but also like the content, the meat of what we listen to is just outstanding. You know, it came to life by not only just listening to it, but through her voice and presentation. So yeah, it was without a doubt. And, you know, knowing that it was both, you know, very well received by both the audience and the team, like that was just, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a great number of votes for this one for sure. One of the top voted, I think. So congratulations, Charisse. Well done. I love it. And what's really cool was in the pitch, she spoke as if things already existed. The guests that I will interview, that will be on the show, that's how you make things happen, right? That's how you make things happen. So well done. I love that. And congratulations to you. So let's move on to our next runner-up winner. We got two more to share and then our grand prize winner. I hope this is all also just fun for you who are watching and listening. I mean, again, we're going kind of slow here, but we're talking about this. We're getting to get excited with the winners. And I hope you in the chat right now are enjoying yourselves, right? This is the event that everything's been leading up to. I'm definitely enjoying myself. I know the team here is as well. The other thing is I hope that you can hear how powerful a person's voice is and how powerful your voice can be. Just in our exercise of listening to this, we are getting inspired. I mean, I've got goosebumps from some of what was been said, right? Imagine reading a blog post of the same thing. You're not going to get that kind of reaction. You're not going to get that kind of feeling. This is the power of the platform of a podcast. It's a lot of P words. Pitch your pod of podcast, Pat Flynn. Okay, anyway, let's move over to the next winner, runner-up. We got Nick. Nick from the Rathercast. Congratulations, Nick.
We're pitching the Rathercast, a family-friendly show where myself and my two boys pose, debate, and discuss would you rather questions and scenarios like,
would you rather be able to eat and digest metal or wood?
Our podcast is light, silly entertainment, great for families, kids, or anyone who wants to go deep on important questions like,
would you rather travel to outer space or the deepest part of the ocean?
Or,
would you rather be able to fly like a bird or burrow like a mole?
We believe Rathercast listeners will enjoy learning how we think about different would you rather scenarios, and then using them as good conversation starters for their own family and friends. Over time, we hope the audience will engage by sharing their answers to our would you rather scenarios, and then maybe even sending us some would you rather scenarios of their own. We hope to bring on all sorts of guests to help us wade through the would you rather waters. Some dream guests include Mr. Beast, Mark Rober, Ellen DeGeneres, Titus Burgess, some real-life American Ninja Warriors, and even President Barack Obama, so that we can ask him,
would you rather have another 4 years or become magically anonymous?
So who are we and why are we doing this? Well, we're just a dad and his two kids looking for a fun way to connect through a shared creative project. And we love all kinds of would you rather questions, from the real and practical to the gross and outrageous. So we hope you'll join us on the Rathercast and ponder questions like,
would you rather be fluent in every language or be a mind reader?
Or,
would you rather be a professional motocross racer or a professional monster truck driver?
And even,
would you rather travel back in time or to the future?
The Rathercast, coming soon.
You knew he threw that one in there for me. Congratulations, Nick. I love the concept. This is a top kids and family podcast, in my opinion. And maybe off the start, it's going to be slow, like many podcasts are. But in many cases, I've seen this with podcasts and YouTube channels alike. One special guest who happens to say yes can change everything and can get you access to a lot of those amazing people who want to dream with. I love the concept. Honestly, this is one of those shows. It's like, if even nobody listens, it's still worth doing, right? As a father, this is just a fantastic idea. And then what's going to be really curious is, as these kids of yours continue to grow up, how not just their voice changes, but how do their mind change? How might you bring back would you rathers and re-listen to them, from years prior? And then how do they answer them now? Right? What struck you with this one, Known? And then we'll go to Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean, so talk about an idea with legs, right? Like such staying power in this. It's so simple and yet so resonant and rich with so much conversation. And it's playful and it's imaginative and it's hopeful and it's curious and it's just has so much staying power. I love it.
So good. Jonathan.
Yeah, I was immediately taken back to like watching old Sesame Street episodes, or just things to my childhood that really like stick with me, where you're learning life lessons, you're having adult conversations, but in a setting that's appropriate for your age. This, absolutely. The concept, just like what Known was saying, has a lot of staying power. The legs, the depth that you can grow and go with this concept is just boundless. Without a doubt, the concept of bringing children into the podcast with you, but then also bringing on really powerful guests that can speak to to their life experiences that kind of answer those would you rather questions, similar to the concept of Pitch Your Pod, which is what would make a great podcast? Well, this is a great podcast. What would make a great podcast? A would you rather podcast, like that kind of a one up on the idea itself.
For sure. Kip here says, I can't wait for the Rathercast. It reminds me of the YouTube channel What's Inside. I actually know the guys from What's Inside, that show of just let's open something up and talk about it together and see what's inside. And they've cut open anything from like a football to, whatever, to just explore what's inside and look at it. And, I think the idea of getting inside of a child's mind with relation to these things and having a discussion about it would be really, really fascinating. It also has a nice hook, right? It's a very clear, easy to understand, here's what we do on the show. And you kind of already know within the first 10 seconds what you're going to get. It reminds me of The Hot Ones, which is a YouTube interview show. I don't know if you've seen that, but the host, Sean, interviews people while they're eating wings, and the wings get progressively hotter as they go along. And then there's funny moments where, who is it? Gordon Ramsay, like he just sprays his face with lemon juice to try to get rid of the heat. And it's like, it adds some comedic elements too, but really, really love this. A lot of people, Michael saying that this is his favorite so far. So again, these choices were really tough, really, really tough, but really, really great too. So let's move on to our final runner-up, and then we'll have some words, and then we'll share the winner. So our next winner is Alicia, Successful Like Me. I was actually in the middle of listening to her show earlier. So I'm going to start over again from the beginning, and let's listen to Alicia and pay attention to who she is, where she is in life, and how she chooses to use the podcast.
Hi, my name is Alicia, and I am lost. I'm finishing high school, and I'm thinking about my professional life, and I'm not sure what path to take. I know I'll make plenty of mistakes, but I want to learn from others to fast-track my success. My freshman year of high school, I started on my personal growth journey. I read books, listened to podcasts, and learned everything about self-education, law of attraction, and changing my inner language. Unlike any of my classmates, I started seeing things with a new lens. I had opened a whole world of possibilities. As I progressed past the start of my journey, I wanted to connect more and get more advice targeted for me. Most of the people in the personal growth industry talk about their messed up childhoods where they dropped out of high school or had absent parents. I'm a very good student with the best supportive parents you can think of that set me on the path to personal growth and are helping me make my podcast a reality. The other thing I found people would say is, imagine if you could talk to your 20-year-old self. Well, I have no 20-year-old self to feel bad for. The one thing they forget to mention is what exactly they would tell their 20-year-old self. See, I want to work smarter, not work a minimum wage job or join a career I hate before I reach the happy part of my story. Also, teenagers have the worst definition of success. Most define it as fame and money, but that can't be the only definition. So anything less than being ultra famous and crazy rich is failure? Yet my classmates want to go to college, work an 8-to-5 job, and pay their debts. On the other hand, they're fascinated by quick celebrities that don't have any real-life experience. Why should young people need to make repeatable mistakes and suffer before they become successful? Perhaps a better way is to learn from others, to exponentially elevate their growth trajectory. We will make plenty of mistakes, but they will be new mistakes, and not the ones that people who are teaching us already made. That's why I want to make this podcast. I want to talk to people who have achieved greatness and explain how youth can do it too. See, we need to redefine success and give students the path to achieving it. All of these personal growth people never focus on the youth perspective, and I'm so interested to know what they want to say to us. Successful Like Me will be a place for youth who want to learn from others. Youth who want to change the trajectory of their lives, to redefine their priorities at this critical point in their lives. To redefine success so it's not the message that schools are telling everyone, but what actual people define it as. This will be the place for youth who want more out of life. This will be the community for them, the home for them. Listeners will get the opportunity to learn from an array of different people from different backgrounds and different careers. Also learn how they got to where they are and how someone could start that process from grade school. The advice given during the podcast will be specific and targeted towards helping youth, empowering youth to take action and move forward. Each person will shift the way we all define success, a definition that's more aligned with the person we want to become. The community that will be brought together with this podcast will be the future leaders of the world. These youth are forward-thinking, enthusiastic, and excited to learn. The connections will help create a support system that's needed for anyone, despite circumstances, to go after their goals. I would love to talk to Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi because they are the leaders of the personal growth industry. They were the ones that opened my eyes, and thanks to them, my life has changed forever. They normally cater to a much older audience, and I would love their perspective on youth. Also, Sarah Blakely. She's a girl boss and has done so much for girls in business. I would love to talk to her and learn what she has to say for youth. Hosting Pat Flynn would be amazing as well to help bring youth into the world of passive income. One of his goals is to help youth progress, being a father himself. So I would love for him to give advice and speak directly to us youth. These are just a few examples of new age forward thinkers I would love to interview. There are thousands of them, yet youth don't know they exist because they don't have flashy TikTok dances or clickbait videos. At the end of the day, I'm just looking to help young people like me get a head start on their journey by learning from the successful forward thinkers of our times. With your support, I'll achieve my mission sooner and influence more young people that are looking for their own path in life.
A little bit longer of a pitch, still within the 5 minutes, but one of the most powerful, I feel. And Alicia is actually in the chat right now. So Alicia, congratulations to you from Team SPI. Few words: mission driven. Mission's very clear. Who it is that you're serving and why this is important, and it's absolutely needed right now. I think a lot of others in the chat could agree and have already expressed as such. And what I love about this too is it's different than what a lot of the other pitches were. A lot of the other pitches were, here's my expertise, let me share it with you, or I'm in this world, so let me bring it to you too. But this is more of a, hey, like, I am wanting to learn this stuff and I know you're out there and want to learn this too. Like, let me take the lead and we can all learn this together, right? It's sort of a similar to what they talk about when they say work in public. It's like you share it as you learn and as you go. It's a journalistic kind of approach, a journeylistic, if you will, approach to the podcast, right? What struck you, Jonathan, with Alicia's pitch here?
Yeah. One of the very few, I mean, I would say that like the top 5 that we've collected together that legitimately made me like stand up and clap my hands. Phenomenal pitch. What really stuck with me is the idea of bringing youth into the conversation. So often, you know, in society, but also just in general, the youth can be dismissed as, well, they're young, they're, you know, they don't know any better, they'll have to learn the hard way. And bringing them into the conversation to really engage and connect with them, and not dismiss their thoughts, not dismiss, you know, their ideas is important. And that through was very powerful, and you know, the reason why Alicia jumped to the top of the list with our vote for sure.
No, and how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think what is resonant for me in what Alicia is saying is wanting and having a passion to really kind of uproot and dismantle the ideas we have about children. I mean, Jonathan just spoke to it. There is this societal norm that like, oh, you'll understand someday, or just because I'm the parent or I am the adult that I know better, and that's false. That's just false. It's not true. So I think what will be exciting to see in Alicia's journey is to see how they show up and bring their own ideas and passions and stuff, and not just certainly learn as you go, but also you have stuff to say too, and that's very exciting. And you know, the kids are our future, so I love it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So well done, Alicia. Thank you. And when your show's up and running, give me a ring. We'll make it happen. Right? Cool. So before we share our final winner and our grand prize winner, again, all the runner-ups get access to Power Up Podcasting, as well as a microphone that we'll send your way too, just as a sort of, you know, awesome and well done. Honestly, I wish I could send a microphone to everybody. Everybody's pitches were fantastic. And we had, again, pitches across the entire spectrum. Things that were more political, things that were having to do with race, and things having to do with career, food, and all over. I mean, there were so many different niches and spaces. And again, the winners were selected based on a voting process mixed with Team SPI and a lot of what we had mentioned in the contest rules as far as what we were looking for with the pitch. But honestly, I feel bad selecting a winner because everybody here is a winner. And I saw some people in the chat saying, yay, so-and-so should win or so-and-so should win. And I agree. I mean, everybody should win, but we had to make a decision. And it doesn't mean that you were not great. It doesn't mean that you didn't deserve to be recognized, because all of you should be recognized. And it's cool because, again, so many votes came in, so many downloads came in, and every podcast had, a number of people that had voted and said, yeah, I really like this. So I'm really, really excited to bring in the winner here. And that is Jill F. Jill, congratulations. Jill from Want to Work Here. Let's give a listen. By the way, she had some production value, which we did not take into account, right? We as Team SPI, first thing we said when somebody brought this up was, she's got some music, but pay attention to what she says. And so that's what the winner was about. Just letting you know, because you're going to hear it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jill Felska, and for the last 12 years, I've been on a mission to create a happier, more engaged workforce. While I absolutely love the work I do with individual companies, my ultimate passion is to equip more people with the language and tools they need to create positive workplace change. My hope is that my new podcast, called Want to Work There, will be the ultimate opportunity for me to share practical knowledge and tools with a community of people who are passionate about creating a better world of work. Company culture is a phrase and concept that's truly become part of our collective lexicon in the last 20 years. That said, many people still have a really hard time quantifying what it actually is. In an effort to define their culture, many employers will say things like, we're a really great place to work because we have weekly happy hours, a ping pong table in the break room, and really great health insurance. Unfortunately, these are examples of perks, not culture. Now, don't get me wrong, perks are important, but it doesn't get down to the nitty-gritty of how actual work is done within a company. To do that, you need to identify and articulate the beliefs, behaviors, and norms that exist within the organization. And that's a lot harder than pointing to tangible things that are easily identifiable, like perks. That said, COVID has sped up what was already a changing dynamic in the workplace. Employees are more aware than ever about what they actually personally value when it comes to the behaviors, beliefs, and norms that exist within a workplace. Potential employees want to know things like how decisions are made, what type of communication and behaviors are tolerated between managers and employees, and what beyond money drives the company's strategies and ambitions. These are exactly the types of unwritten rules that need to be considered, identified, and spoken when creating intentional culture. I like to use the ping pong table example to help make this more real. So, as we've already identified, a ping pong table itself is a perk. If you want to think about it from a culture perspective, you have to dig into the beliefs and the behaviors that exist about having a ping pong table in the office. For example, if the often unspoken belief within an organization is that if you have enough time to play ping pong during the workday, then you don't have enough work to do, the behavior is going to be that most people don't ever play. Suddenly, the game room is no more than a storage closet. On the flip side, if the belief about ping pong is that stepping away from your computer to play actually increases creativity, then suddenly you've got a game room that is actively used and appreciated, like it was originally built to be. In either situation, playing or not playing becomes the norm. And when new employees join, most will just adhere to whatever is already happening. While I'm currently talking about ping pong, something that likely seems pretty trivial to most, the same concept applies to everything from meeting structures to decision making to the use of vacation time and so many other things in between. All cultural beliefs, behaviors, and norms are changeable, but it takes intentionality and an understanding of what the atmosphere is that you're wanting to cultivate. Hopefully, this example makes culture a little more real for you, a little more tangible. I so badly want to bridge the gap between theory and practical application so that more of us can make the transition from just talking about to actually doing the work. That said, I also have so much more to learn, and I want the podcast to be a gathering place for incredible thought leaders who are also passionate about changing the way we work. I envision talking with everyone from well-known experts like Simon Sinek to up-and-coming leaders like Michelle Kim, who recently published one of my favorite books, Wake Up, A Practical Guide to Closing the Gap Between Good Intentions and Real Change. I also want to connect with people doing the work inside organizations that have top employee feedback scores. What are the nuanced behaviors, beliefs, and norms that exist within their companies that make it a place people want to work? While my core target audience would be leaders within the people ops and HR space, I envision the podcast inspiring and teaching anyone who is passionate about improving the culture within their own company. Some of the topics I'm most excited to cover include operationalizing company values, creating team charters, and why a culture committee's job shouldn't be party planning. These are all topics I will be covering in Season 1, which will officially launch Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. If you're fired up about creating a better world of work, I truly hope you'll tune in and become part of a community of culture catalysts hoping to achieve just that.
We have a launch date, people. Yo, Jill, congratulations to you. I see Jill in the chat right now. Actually, she says, I'm honestly so overwhelmed. Thank you for this. But I have to echo what Pat and the team said so many times already. I've listened to most of the pitches this weekend and was blown away by the entries. And I cannot stress that enough. All of you are winners this weekend. Jill taking home the grand prize, of course. What I love about Jill's presentation is just how relevant it is right now, right? We do have to take that into account because this stuff is happening in the world for many of us. It is something that I know people are listening to right now or had listened to just now and said, yes, I'm seeing this happen in the workspace. And the implications of the ping pong table and that, like, just that example. I mean, what was beautiful about this pitch to me too is that she provided real value and some even like enlightening understanding within such a short period of time. And when you create your podcast intros, for example, your introduction, maybe a trailer for Apple, for example, you want to be able to try and do that, to try and teach something and offer somebody a small win. I always talk about that. What's the small, quick win that I can take away from this? And then the big takeaway I think Filmtopia said is like, he even says like, ping pong is my word for the week. It's like, it's perks are not equal to culture. In fact, culture is more important than perks, right? And I love that. There's so much to unpack here, and I'm just really excited. I also love the idea of seasons of this. Seasonal podcasting can be great because it gives you a little bit of a break in between seasons, and it also allows for a theme to happen every season as well. Noan, what were your impressions of Jill here, who is our winner today?
Yes, congratulations, Jill. It's very clear to me that Jill knows what she's passionate about, knows what she's talking about. It's a clear sort of coming from the heart place that she wants to change, right? I think what is so resonant for me is there's so much in our world, certainly in our workspaces, that are performative, right? There's a lot of performance happening. Like, I am going to check the box of the ping pong table or the right. beer tap or whatever it may be, right? But true change and true like creating of safe spaces and containers for people to show up as they are, that's hard work. That's like nuanced, mushy, bog, in the bog type of work. That's important. That all sort of spaces need to be scrutinizing and fostering, and the idea that Jill is going to be talking about it and sort of giving real life examples and tips for other workspaces is very exciting for me.
And I'm imagining conversation about remote workspaces and how to, all that kind of stuff. Jonathan, how are you feeling about Jill's pitch?
Yeah. Culture is huge, as I get older, as I continue to be in the workforce more and more, because I work at SPI. Culture is like paramount for me. And I just like most of the team, throughout my work history, I've definitely worked at places where that ping pong table, kind of going back to that, is like the focal point, or the unlimited beer taps, or you have free breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but it comes with this unspoken, sometimes official, you may be working 12 to 13 hour days. You may be expected to show up on the weekends to kind of put in that extra work, because, hey, look at all these quote benefits that we give you, but they're not really, necessarily benefits that are really benefiting the people that work there. At culture, it all comes back to that, and defining what truly really is culture and how to change it, how to improve it for everyone at a company. Not only resonates with me, but also just anyone within the workspace.
For sure. Man, I wish we had like 8 hours to talk about every pitch in this depth because they all deserve it. I mean, honestly, there's so many great topics and things to be discovered. And so I hope that you continue this conversation with others around you and your audience and your soon to be audience. And I hope that you move forward with your podcast because all of this stuff is important. And again, congratulations to all the winners. And thank you again to all the participants who get some stuff, right? We'll send you an email, I'll follow up very shortly here with what it is that you get. Buzzsprouts thrown in something, Podcast Hawk, Fuse Box, so that you don't walk away with nothing. Again, this wasn't about the prizes, but we did want to highlight some of our favorites. And, you know, not my top 5 wasn't the top 5 that was selected, nor was everybody's. In fact, I think we had to come to an agreement. So, you know, you could have been really close to being up there. In the chat, what was the biggest lesson you've learned from listening to all of the pitches? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as you are typing away about what your biggest lesson you've learned so far, which hopefully has to do with the power of just getting started, which again was the point of this. I want to point you to a brand new podcast episode that just came out today. It's almost as if we timed it this way on purpose, and we kind of did. This was an interview with Abby Rose Green. She actually is a podcaster, fairly new, and has 2. And we talk about really what it's like to start a podcast and what that feels like, the ups, the downs, the wins, the losses, because again, I want to equip you as best as possible to succeed from this point forward. So that's episode 545. You'll find it wherever your podcasts are found. Also, we recently interviewed Esprit Devora, who is also a podcaster in Women in Tech. And she has about a 45-second piece of advice for you when it comes to growing your audience.
There's been a lot of people around a lot longer that have a lot bigger audiences, but for whatever reason, those work. And there's so many other creators like that that aren't the first, but they have something unique or they create a really great rapport with their community. It's really about compounding those steps, doing those experiments, really honing in on your audience month after month, reevaluating your community and your audience and forming that deeper relationship with them. And then they end up becoming your recommendation engine to everybody else.
Right. So it's about connection. And when it comes to growing your audience, remembering that those are human beings on the other end. You know, even if you have 50 downloads per podcast, which when you compare to others is like nothing. But when you consider 50 people in a room with you listening to your words, that's huge, actually. I mean, that's way more people than I'm comfortable with in a room, honestly, as an introvert. But also, you know, a lot of people are like, Pat, what was your top 5? I'm not going to be revealing that, but Nathan, I remember your podcast. I was actually very impressed. But I just want to, again, give a big shout out to everybody. Now, we've already had a lot of people ask us, Pat, where do we go from here? You could go to Clubhouse and check out April. She's going to have a chat about this. I also want to let you know about our course, Power Up Podcasting. A lot of you have actually asked, what's the deal with that? Are you going to throw in something special? And yes, we are. Power Up Podcasting is now available. If you want to go further and get the step-by-step process, you could probably figure this out on your own if you wanted to, but you can take the shortcut and come with us. As you know, we are here to help you. You've seen this already. We've had over or nearly 4,000 students take this course to successfully launch their show. 3,896 total podcast students, which is pretty amazing. So we're really excited. And if you head on over to smartpassiveincome.com/PUP, you'll actually get access to that with $200 off. It is $200 off the regular price point between now and next Thursday. And that is a special that, I mean, honestly, it hasn't been that price since the launch 4 years ago. We want to give you the opportunity to come in and learn from us if you choose to do so. So again, thank you so much, all of you, for being a part of this. We're going to do more stuff like this in the future. This was, in my eyes, a success. We've learned a lot. We made some mistakes along the way where we have to refine some things. But as we all know, you got to get started. And we got started, and we want you to follow our lead. And again, we are here for you as well. How might we be able to connect with each other is being asked. Yeah, let me and Jonathan
we could think through that.
Think about that. You know, maybe there's some sort of channel or group or something that we can bring all the contestants together, because you guys are obviously all sharing the same experiences here. But again, smartpassiveincome.com or $200 off the Power Up Podcasting course. And you also get access to me every week in office hours with that, as well as other students in the academy too. And yeah, I'm just thinking if there's anything else. Well, we'll send you a follow-up email with the winners and the goodies, and all the winners will also get emails individually too. But we'll also send you more info about Power Up Podcasting to see if that's of interest to you. But yeah, thank you so much. Noam, thank you for being here. Tony is here as well, but he was manning the chat inside, as well as Jillian and a few others from Team SPI. So thank you for that. Jonathan, any final words before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I've said it, a few times, and to you, to Pat, and to the team. Truly, just humbled by the turnout, the courage, and just the passion that all of you took and brought in such a quick turnaround time. Really, all you needed is just that little nudge. You've had such a wide variety and amazing assortment of ideas just in your head, waiting to get out, and that came through in those pitches. Don't give up. Don't let podcasting end here. Don't let that conversation stop. Continue it with your friends, with your family, with your mic, with whomever you want to share your podcast with.
Awesome. Thank you, Team SPI. Thank you for participating. Thank you for watching or voting. And here's to you and your future podcast listeners. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you in the next one. And we'll follow up with an email soon. Bye, everybody.